You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Moline, the co-author of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I'll be sitting down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. All right, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. As always, like, share, comment wherever you're listening, if it's on iTunes or YouTube, whatever it is. Also, if you jump on Facebook, type in Roofing Success, join the Roofing Success Facebook group. Love to see you over there. If you're finding success with any of the tips and tricks and conversations that we're having, post it on social media with the hashtag Roofing Success. Today, I'm really excited. I got invited to be a panelist on the marketing panel at Win the Storm this year, and I was looking at at everyone else on the panel, and the panel moderator was Jonathan Sherwood. And I was like, man, I got to get him on the show before we do that, before we get to the conference. So really looking forward to seeing you down there in New Orleans this year. But really excited to have this conversation with you today. So Jonathan Sherwood, for anyone that doesn't know who you are in the industry yet, tell a little bit about yourself and what you got going on.
Sure, absolutely. Jim, I just appreciate you carving out some time and to have me on your show. It's always a pleasure. It's always an honor to get on here and speak with like-minded individuals and get an opportunity to produce a podcast and share value with the industry. It's one of the things I'm passionate about and just enjoy doing it. My story, pretty easy. Unfortunately, I chose to make a lot of bad decisions, and I ended up in recovery. I was immersed in the street life and some organized crime and addiction and stuff. And God radically changed my life. And that's why I have a heart and a passion for recovery and have been in recovery. And I got into roofing. And when I got into roofing, I was kind of at a wit's end, and I just was looking for a way to actually make some resources. I had lost everything I had from addiction. I had a close friend who said, hey, listen, when you can stay sober, you're one of the best salesmen in shoe leather. He's like, let's go ahead and start a roofing company. And I'd already lost my home in bankruptcy, lost everything. He had a few $1,000s saved up. We started a small company in the basement. We ended up working that and branding it. And then in September of 2016, I sold it to the regional operations manager of John Mansville, who was Robert Marshall. So that worked out really well. Now in that, just like every other roofer, I wanted to be predominantly a commercial roofer, and our organization was 80-90% residential, 10-20% commercial. But I really saw the value in doing that. So what I did is I began to prepare myself by doing those other commercial roofs to really target that. So I made a move out to Texas, and I was going back and forth from Texas and Colorado for several years before I'd sold my company, because it was costing me money not to be in Texas. And obviously Texas has a much larger market. So I took a vice president's position of a commercial roofing division for a development company. They had not really done a whole lot of commercial, built them up, got them on the top 150 companies in the nation within a few years, took a president's chair. And then I said, you know what? I just want to brand myself and really work on myself. And that's where the Jonathan B. Sherwood roofing specialist came in, and the roofing helping roofers. And I just got known on a national level for doing, turnkey work and retail work on large projects. So that's a little bit about how I kind of got to where I was at. And then it's kind of unfolded to what you see on social media. We got the Foam and Fluid Company on the board of Roofers in Recovery. I have the Roofers Helping Roofers, which is a trademark program that I run myself. And then we just kicked off the Commercial Roofing Academy. It was Paul and Kim Reed, Steve Patrick, and then I got the invitation to come be a part of that organization, which was an honor for me.
That's awesome, man. And so what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is what kind of opportunities unfold when you put yourself out there. Because for the last few years, man, you just put yourself out there. You're your authentic self. you're up on the roof here, you're speaking on stage there. There's, you're just putting yourself out into the world. And I know you're, a big fan of Gary Vee as I am, and just, the consistency in that content. So speak to a little bit about how the time it took and what you've done, just step by little over the years to build that authority. And when did you see like it start to really come together?
So what I would say is what really catapulted a lot of the exposure that led to some of the success that obviously the industry has seen would have to be the social media content. So we can dive in on how we got to that social media content. So I went to Win the Storm, and it was when Gary Vee was one of the keynotes. Yeah. And Gary Vee said up there, he said, there's thousands of people here. Maybe one person here is going to get what I say, and they're going to be successful from it. And I personally did not have a Facebook or any social media at that time. I had gone through a divorce due to the addiction and stuff years prior to that and shut it all down. I wanted nothing to do with it. I was kind of an old school dinosaur. I had a very negative mindset in the fact that I thought that, I was like, I'm just a great salesman and I don't need any of that. And I don't need any technology, et cetera. That's how I was living my life, which was unfortunate because that's just not how things should be. But it shows kind of the mindset that I had as a man coming out of stuff that I had come out of until I learned how to process thinking and emotions correctly. And he talked about documenting what you do and providing value at no cost. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do this and go all in. So I went and teamed up with a friend and a colleague to be my media department that was very creative, because the reality of it is, yes, I'm doing those things, but without his flavor and creativity on it, it's not going to be what the public eye sees. So it's really a teamwork thing between my media and myself, which would be Ishmael and me. And I said, okay, let's document the stuff that I'm doing and giving it away for free. So we started doing that. Well, you learn one, that it's just consistency in the beginning. And, we wanted to have a graphic and a video every day. And we wanted to be sharing what I was doing on roofs and how I was selling roof and what type of restorations I was doing on roof, because I'm obviously known for fluids and chemical roofing. Yep. And we didn't see anything for like 8 months. And then I think into that, we ended up landing our first 7-figure deal. And it still took a little more time to really gain momentum. Once we got momentum, it just, it was like somebody turned the faucet on, and we're just vetting organic leads all the time on who it is that we're going to be working with as other contractors in the nation. The other thing was, finding the niche. And the niche for me was roofers helping roofers. And it was coming from a roofing industry where roofers didn't get along at all, to learning how to celebrate wins with them and building something where everybody wins. The Roofers Helping Roofers program leaves the meat on the bone for the contractor, does content with them using their videos to give them exposure, and we hold the bag on the material and labor warranties. It's pretty much a no-brainer at that point, but you have to leave the meat on the bone for them to make the most resources out of the transaction. So we just quantify, but I live by pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. It's just part of that actual program. Yep. The other thing was finding what would captivate the audience. We're going to call the audience the contractor at this point. What captivated the audience? And that was a huge learning lesson, because as things happen in the world around us, great example, COVID, election, things like that, views went down tremendously. So there was times where we recorded video that was amazing, talking about how we did a procurement and fulfillment of a job, and down to the very spec of the system, that would go from getting 800 to 1,000 views to now at this point in time, 126 people were looking at it. And I'm like, man, this is rough. But then we go to change it up, and we get a plastic monkey that's 4 foot tall, and we name him Spoonie Love from up above, have him make some jokes saying he can get on a roof without a ladder. He can core sample without a piece of equipment. He's the #1 salesman. Get a couple thousand views. People contact us out of it, and we end up doing roofs. So it's captivating the audience, being consistent, and you have to look at it as another job. But it's not another job that you're paying for. It's another job that you're paying to do, knowing that you're playing the long game to get future engagement and project procurement and fulfillment down the road. So, it's just really comes down to being consistent. I tell guys all the time, come up with just a graphic for the first 30 days. Start to be consistent, but don't do the one thing that makes me sick, and that's say free roof inspections, because that's going to get you nowhere. Because the thing about social media is nobody wants to be sold. They want to be given value to intrigue them, to make them want to come back to you.
Definitely, man. And so you put out, say, 150, 200 pieces of content probably before you got that first big deal, right? Like so you have to just commit to the process. And that's a big Gary Vee thing too, right? Commit to the process and just do it. You have to do it with the expectation that it will come to you. Um, Another thing that you mentioned is you don't know what's going to work, right? We all try to think of, oh, I'm going to put this really cool video together, or this, and the audience decides, I think, a lot of the times, right? And so, you have, but some of the funner stuff that you do, that's maybe you'd think of as less professional, but you're having fun up there, works better, right? People see and get to know you a little bit more. They get to, enjoy what you're doing and know your personality. So all of this journey has led you to a lot of things, right? You have roofers helping roofers, roofers in recovery, the Commercial Roofing Academy now, Surefire Seamless Systems. Like, how is this built upon itself? So what was the first one was that you were involved in? Was it Roofers Helping Roofers is kind of the original brand or
Roofers
original?
was a brand and a trademark that I pioneered in the industry.
Yep.
That led to project fulfillment with other contractors, that led to workshops, that led to just answering questions for other roofing contractors without any type of monetary compensation. And that whole thing kind of flagshipped what you see today.
Yeah. And so what you do in there is essentially, say, a residential roofer that needs help, looking at a commercial job, they come to you and they say, hey man, what can we do here? Is that the concept of it? Explain
So
roofing.
we have what I would say predominantly two types of clients. Okay. The first one's going to be the residential roofer, or they're mainly residential roofing, maybe done a little bit of commercial. They've been vetted and they have the cash flow and they're prepared to go into the commercial roofing industry, because what we don't want to do is negatively and adversely affect someone. They got to be prepared to make that investment to go into the commercial and still be operating the residential to cash flow the business and keep it sustainable. I've always learned that business comes first under all costs. So those guys, it works in a lot of different ways. There's coming in and doing workshops for them. There's one-on-one consulting with them. There's going out in the field, putting on their shirt, helping them gather the data, help them sell them the deal, preparing the proposal, giving it over to them, let them put their logo on it, telling them where to be if it's retail so they can make sure they actually can get it. We're not just burning time putting out proposals. Then there's the full turnkey application of the system itself. Then there's guys that, as they're doing that, they learn business is stealing shamelessly. They'll do what I'm doing and just start sending me over measurements, pictures, how I taught them how to gather data. I'm sending them over the proposals. They're changing them out to what it needs to be and then getting it over. Then it's during the project, we're actually doing video and content and giving them exposure to try to help them create and continue getting those commercial opportunities. Then we have some of the largest roofing companies in the nation that I work for as well. That they've already got commercial divisions. They're doing 20, 30, 40, 50 million plus a year, some of them over 100 million a year. And it's just they know that I'm considered highly favored in my expertise of foam and coatings. They want me to come in. I got to have an aggressive price. It's got to be done perfect. It's got to have a raving fan culture. No hiccups. Just get these projects done for us. Get them closed out. Let us get you paid. And we're going to keep on growing and scaling, where they don't want anything but that being done. And they operate like that. So it's a mixture of both of those type of clients that I actually have. I have a lot of large roofing companies that are fully set up for commercial, that do lots of money in revenue every year. And I have guys that are looking to get into it. My favorite are always the guys looking to get into it, because it's fun actually, teaching those guys and watching them grow.
For sure. And that's what I see in you all the time, is you have that you have that teacher in you, right? You're definitely good at that and definitely enjoy it. So then, you'd mentioned your past and having a troubled past and, having issues with drugs and alcohol and things like that. So that led to, all of this kind of led you down to the path of now you get to really give back to people who have had those struggles also, in Roofers in Recovery. Tell people a little bit about that and what you guys got going on over there.
So Roofers in Recovery is a nonprofit that was really birthed the idea and the destiny of Paul and Kim Reed. And they had a true heart for recovery. They both have some very long time sustained sobriety. And I've been saying for a long time that this industry has been looking for a remnant of leaders of what is right, not followers of what is wrong. And I would definitely say that they're a pioneer of that. And they put this program together to touch our industry because there's been such a bad rap in substance abuse and, womanizing and domestic violence and theft and fraud. But the reality of it is I've met some of the most amazing people in this industry, and some of my closest friends are in this industry. And you'd be surprised when things happen, how well this industry reacts and helps people out. So that program is designed for a few things. One, we have a Zoom meeting every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Mountain Time that you can find the Zoom link on the Roofers in Recovery page. That would be similar to any other recovery meeting, but we're not an AA meeting. And we do that, and we have our recovery meeting. And then the other thing that we do is we vet individuals in the industry who have substance abuse problems that want to go to rehab, that are not financially able to go to rehab. And we pay directly for the rehab and get them in the rehabilitation to help give them a fresh start. What we say a lot of times is sometimes new beginnings are disguised in painful endings. And we like to get those guys in there and let them get a new start. And the reality of it is in recovery, and you hear me say it all the time because it comes directly out of the big book, is each day recovery begins when one alcoholic addict shares experience, hope, and strength with another alcoholic addict. And that's basically what we're doing in those online Zoom meetings. So we do that. We also make donations and help. We had a loss of somebody to substance abuse. We help with some of the funeral costs. We're just there really to help. For me, it radically transformed my life because I got sober from heroin. I don't even know at this point. I didn't keep a date, 15 to 17 years, something like that, because I didn't do it from recovery. I ended up doing it because I exchanged it for alcoholism. And I went through a lot of issues with the crime and the alcohol and the addiction and women. And it wasn't until a little later on in life that I got cognitive behavioral therapy and really started working on it. But nothing transformed my life like recovery actually did. And when I got into recovery, I started truly dealing with the character defects that I had going on and seeing why I did the things I did, why I drank, why I used, why I had those issues, and dealing with the root of those issues so I could actually become happy, joyous, and free. And so that's why recovery is so close to my heart. Out of everything that I do, Roofers in Recovery is my favorite. And I'm just honored that Paul selected me to be on his board. I'm kind of the little guy on the totem pole, but when Paul did that, and put that accountability in my life, it just took what was already going on and just catapulted it. And it's like, that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. God putting me in connection with Paul Reed transformed my life today in recovery and as a man that I hadn't found in everything that I tried that wasn't working for me throughout my life as I was just trying to get that freedom from bondage.
You had said something there. It brought in a level of accountability to you. Now, do you feel accountable to all of the other people that you're helping is that kind of part of that now you have a different purpose? It's changed that purpose in your life?
I think the most simplistic way for me to say it is John spent his life living on John's terms, and now he lives on God's terms. And with that being said, it's to put God first and others first and my family first and then me. And before it was so backwards because I was so full of pride and so full of ego and so full of selfishness. And I'm a man, I still struggle with pride and ego sometimes, but I was so full of those things that I just wasn't able to see clearly and get it done. So for me, it's like, I know that there's guys out there that only I can connect with. And I get calls and texts every single day from guys that normally wouldn't reach out, but they're like, I've heard your story. I can connect with you. And I see how God uses a mess like me to help let him change the lives of others. So I know that I need to be in recovery. I need to be sober. I need to be telling everybody how it's changed my life.
And that is just going to lead to so many lives changed, man. That's so awesome, brother. That's so super cool. And then it continues to build, right? All of these things continue to build. You become a better version of yourself. You keep doing what you're doing. And now even more opportunities come your way, right? It's an amazing thing that when you continue to do this and help people, that all of a sudden new doors open. Now you guys have the Commercial Roofing Academy, right? Like, and now you're going to go and train I'm sure you guys are going to go out there and make make a lot of successful commercial roofing contractors out of this. What's the foundation of the Commercial Roofing Academy, and what are you guys working on there?
So that was birthed by the Reeds and Steve Patrick, and I was honored to be brought into that just because I'm known as a pillar in the industry when it comes to commercial market and sales in the commercial market. We just had our first grand opening and inaugural Roofers Academy this last weekend in Parker, Colorado. It was a huge success. And what we were saying is there's so many people that want to get into commercial. Well, here's the thing. Gentlemen like me, gentlemen like Paul Reed that sell these commercial roofs, it's not that we're so good at what we do. It's that we've made so many mistakes that now we're good at what we do. So what we call it is paying the dumb tax. So we wanted to put a program together. Where else can you sit at the feet of industry experts that are multimillionaires, that have got it so dialed in, and lay the playbook before you? So all you have to do is follow the playbook and not make all the same mistakes that we did, so you can thrust yourself and exponentially and cut so much time off of being successful in the commercial market. So we created that program where it's a very in-depth, year-long. So you pay your tuition, you go to 2 extensive days of training. We have online courses, you'll get certificates. We have people that you can call and FaceTimes on roofs and ask them any questions. You get some commercial leads. We'll go out there and help you close those commercial leads. And it just completely immerses you in the market and just teaches you step by step. And it's the only thing that is focused on. There's nothing else but getting into the commercial roofing marketplace. So they had birthed that idea, and they brought me in, and they decided to allow me to be a partner with them to help them kind of fulfill what we have going on. So we're super excited about it. There's going to be 6 of them every year. It's full, it's not just you go to the 2 days of it, but you become a member and you're in it for an entire year-long program. So it takes a commitment to it. And we'll be kicking off another one here. I think April 30th will be the next one.
That's awesome, man. And that's a lot of times that's what you need, right? You can learn from your mistakes, or you can learn from the mistakes of others, right? But they're all lessons. Which lesson do you want, right? Some lessons are easier than others to
we just want to duplicate ourselves within other serious peers in the industry.
Yeah, for sure, man. And so for people that don't understand that lesson, right? It's strange along the way. Like you've had a journey in your life, right? Your ups and downs. And how do you feel about those lessons? Like, now do you look at them as losses or lessons? Speak to that a little bit.
There was a time where I would look back on my life and it was embarrassing. I still felt some hopelessness from it. I had some resentments in it, and it just would really make me feel negative and uncomfortable. But now I look back at my life, and there's no greater thing than the story of my past.
Yeah.
Because at this point, it can be used to change the lives of others. And I don't have the pain that I had from it anymore because I've been relieved from that. And that really came from learning how to love myself. My biggest problem is I just did not love myself or like myself. And because of that, I couldn't treat anybody around me, whether I knew them well or didn't know them well, including my family well, because I didn't have any love for me. And once I learned how to love myself and get into the program, it began to change me. So I think one of the greatest things that I have is my past. And, Henry Ford says that your past is one of the most powerful things that you have. And I'm in agreement with that 100%. So at this point, I'm super thankful for everything that I went through. I'm thankful that God decided not to let me end up and stay in prison, dead, have disease or infirmity or accident that killed me, because his plan was a lot greater than my plan. And now, as I've gotten older, it makes a lot more sense to me than it did before.
Yeah, it takes time to unravel that, right? Like that, and to come to that realization sometimes. And then now you've moved on. Now you have what's that on your shirt there? Surefire Systems, man. Like
Surefire Seamless Systems.
It's just, it all leads to so many things. Like if you just open yourself up and get yourself out there and put yourself in a position to let opportunity come to you, it's the craziest thing that happens, man. I know I don't want to take we kind of have a short amount of time today. So I just want to have kind of one final question for you. And that would be, what's the greatest insight that you can share with our audience that has helped you find success in roofing that might help them find success in roofing?
So this is what I think that when I get a question on panels all the time, they say, what's the one thing you would tell yourself earlier in your career that you know now?
Yeah.
So in my opinion, this is a nugget that truly works. If you don't understand something, don't be afraid to connect with somebody that's competent in the industry that you can trust. But don't just connect with anybody. Vet them, see who they are as an individual, make sure their reputation is good, because you can go and bring somebody in on something and learn so much better than trying to figure out yourself. So example, people say, how do I get in commercial? You have to create the opportunity. You can get lined up to get on a roof. Once you get on a roof, bring somebody else in and let them teach you. Something is better than nothing, and learn hands-on. So I would say networking within the industry and making connections with people that truly generally want to help you and see you succeed. Because the reality of it is, if you make connections with good people that truly want to see you succeed, and you're a like-minded individual, people are always like, whoa, well, how am I going to make money? And they're making the money, and what if they cut me out of the deal? People that operate in good business do not do that type of stuff. I work with the roofers all the time. They don't worry about that at all. And then what happens is you build a relationship. We're in a relationships business. So you want to cultivate relationships that bring value on both sides. And then it's pretty simple. What happens after that is everybody just dances with who brought them, and you just cultivate something that unfolds to be very lucrative for you and the other party involved.
That's awesome, man. How can our audience get a hold of you? Check you out.
I'd say the best way to get a hold of me is any type of social media. You can direct message me on Facebook. You can hit me on Instagram. That's a good way to get a hold of us. One thing I always like to give away is I give away the 4 key tips that made me successful in commercial roofing. And that's know your craft, know your client, set expectation, and slow down. Now, if they want to see about a 25-minute video at no cost goes over each and every one of those things I just said, and Roofers Helping Roofers, they can go to roofershelpingroofers.net, one word. It'll take them to the link that video on YouTube, and they can watch that video and get some free value just for watching this podcast today.
Awesome, Jonathan. Thanks for your time today, man. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. If you would like to generate more sales through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com and get a copy of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Thanks for listening.